Well, good evening again. It's a breezy, brisk autumn evening, and we're here with our Suzuki Alto. Now, a wee bit of bodywork, for want of a better description, crash damage to repair here. So let me show you what the issue is. Right, so what happened was that our Alto was sitting quietly and innocently at the side of the street. Car came along, reversed into the rear bumper, going that way. You can see the score and scuff marks here. You can see the alignment has been pulled out between the bumper and the rear quarter panel, and if we look in there we can see the alignment pulled out underneath the light cluster, and if you were able to see in there you would also see it's been pulled away from the inner guard. So what we're going to do is take the bumper off, try and reposition the bracket, and then get the bumper back on and sort out the paintwork. Right, now the removal of the bumper on the rear bumper on this Alto is actually quite straightforward. We've got one screw in there. We've then got 1, 2, 3 little screws along there, and obviously the corresponding screw in there. And then underneath there are 3 little popper fixings, and they come out, of course, just gently because they've been there for a while. Get the pin pulled back, popper drop out, released. So I'm just going to go ahead and get those all out. Okay, so as you take the fixings out along there, the wheel arches underneath, you will then pull gently the edge of the bumper, and it will come out of the spring clips at the corners. And then you'll find, as you go to remove it, there's another popper in there. So in this instance, number plate fixing off, popper out. Okay, so as the bumper begins to fall away then, we can first of all see our damage, because we can see the bracket has bent forward away from the fixing to the body. And you also have to remember to remove the license plate, the number plate light, and it's simply a little spring clip, push up, pull out. It's been there for a while, so not the simplest thing to remove, but nonetheless get those out of the way. Right, and as you go about your fixings removal, you'll discover there are 2 more nuts, well, bolts rather, just sitting 6 inches away from the mud flaps on either side, so out with them also. Okay, so with all our fixings out of the way, top, bottom, etc., just watch it doesn't catch on the mud flaps and the inner guard, really, I suppose. The mud flap catches down there, and then just drop it away. And there's our bumper removed from the vehicle. And with that done, we can then see exactly what has happened. So you can see the top of the bracket here pulled away, as I say, from the mounting. I see it quite clearly now. So now we're going to bend this back into place, and we'll get it realigned like this one. Okay, so now we're going to reposition the bracket. You can see the gap where it has moved. So we're going to reposition the support in a time-honored and traditional manner with a bit of gentle persuasion. So you can see the gap beginning to close. So there we go. We've now sealed the joint there. I'm just going to flatten the top out. Right. And there we go. We now Okay, so now that we've popped that back into place, we've managed to remove some of the paintwork. So we're going to give it a wee bit of rust inhibitor spray. Okay, and then just a wee touch of grey primer on top of the rust inhibitor, just to make sure it stays where it should for a few more years. Right, and one more thing to check just before starting to put the bumper back on. The bumper obviously curves around the corner here, and the edge clips in down the side of this plastic retainer. So whenever the bumper was pushed back, this was pulled away from its seating, so just make sure that's nicely in place and tightened up. Okay, so we're now going to pop the bumper back in place, and the first thing we're going to do is to make sure that this central clip is in position. Right, so I'm going to pop that one on like so. And you'll see that there's a little slide-on clip, so the bumper will slip down top of that, and that will hold the bumper in place for the rest of the connections to go back in. Okay, so we're going to start to reposition our bumper, and the pin that I showed you earlier. So the first thing to do is actually just to locate it in the bumper, like so, and then okay, and then what we do, we can slip the connectors back in place for the number plate lights, nice and firmly back home. Okay, and then bring the bumper from the bottom up so that we catch the inner guards, and then just pop that one back in place, and hi presto, bumper back where it should be. Now, even at this stage, before we finally put all the clips home, you can see that the alignment has already gone back to where it should be. So we just press those nice and firmly in. Do the same on the other side. So bring the bump forward, in we go. So much as we've still got to put in the final fixings, we can see that the alignment has now come back into being. So whenever we fix it on the bottom, it'll be where it started off originally. So I'm now just going to press ahead and get those fixings back in place. Okay, so there we have the bumper back in place, the 5 screws, the various pins and clips, and you can see now that the alignment has come back into place with the bumper more or less back where it should have been. So the next little step then is just to address the paintwork. Okay, so we're going to turn our attention now to bringing the paintwork back in the line. Now, it wasn't badly damaged, but you can see the scuffs left by the other vehicle. So we're simply going to take a little piece of light, wet and dry actually, and we're just going to take the rough edges off the paintwork here. Okay. Alright. Give me a moment to do that. Okay, so very light scuffing. So we've taken the edges off the paint that's now left that fairly smooth. So we're going to make up a little tiny piece of filler and just gently go over those wee slightly deeper scuffs. Okay, so we've got the slightest little bit of scoring to fill. So we've made up a tiny bit of filler, just the eyes upon, and we're actually just going to smear it on by using your finger, and by doing that you can both feel it going into the little scores, and you can also get a sense of the smoothness of the fill as you do it. So there's not a lot to do, but we'll get it in place and just fill up the paintwork that has been removed. And that actually is about it for the filling. So we'll let that dry obviously and then give it a smooth down. Okay, so filler on, and now we've taken the trouble to smooth it down nicely. So we've got a nice even surface, and now we're going to just do a mask off and give it a wee coat of, very light coat of primer. And we're quite fortunate here in that we've got a natural divide between the bumper and the quarter panel and the tail light and the corner, so we'll just spray off this wee panel, and that will hopefully not be too visible a spray. Okay, so we have a bit of masking on, really just to stop any overspray blowing away, and we're now just going to give a wee tiny light coat of grey primer. And really we want the primer just to hit the affected areas, and we're going to put it on very light, so we're going to let that coat sit and give it a wee second. Okay, time now to try and turn this red, and hopefully a similar colour to the red that's already on the car. But the way I tend to teach this is 3 light coats. So we're going to put a very light dusting on at this stage. Okay, I'll just try and get a cover over the primer, and that's it. We're doing no more. Well, actually, right, that's it. We're doing no more, because the one thing you always must try to avoid is being over enthusiastic and letting it run, and then we're back to square one. So, bit of red on. Again, we'll now let that sit for a while and go for coats 2 and 3. So here we go, last little coat of red, just the finishing touch really. I'm just going to fade it in around the side, and that is that. So what I do now, I'll let that dry off, then remove the masking, and given that I don't have a baking oven out here, we'll let it sit and harden over the next few days, and then tea-cut it in, and that will be that. Another job more or less well done. Okay, so thanks for watching. If it's of any interest, sure, subscribe and like, and bye bye for now.